My why is basically my family, the circumstances I grew up, the circumstances I came out of, my whole journey I've gone through to give me to the place I am now.
If there was ever a perfect start to a test career, I'd like to think you running on and scoring your first try is definitely up there in one of them.
I'm getting goosebumps here saying that.
Welcome to the smulcast, the podcast that's all about living a healthier and fuller life. I'm Chris Dry, your host, and today we're sharing the untold story of Springbok Canan Moodie. Canan, welcome to the smulcast. Nice to have you.
Yeah, thanks Chris for having me.
Today we're going to dive deep into who Canan Moodie is, and we're going to go to the untold story because everyone knows, who you are.
Yeah.
Everyone sees this picture, but I don't think everyone understands, and not everyone knows who you are deep down inside. So we know you came from a small town, Amstelhof, or community Amstelhof.
Yeah.
That's in the Paarl?
In
Paarl, yes. And tell me, growing up in Amstelhof, what was it like?
So yeah, for people that don't know where Amstelhof is, it's just before you hit the Huguenot Tunnel. It's just on your left-hand side. So yeah, I've obviously not so great area, had seen a lot of things at my young age, from drug abuse to gangsterism to all that, but luckily it wasn't that bad as at some other areas, but obviously got exposed to that from an early age, and seeing the drugs being abused, growing up with seeing that from a young age, obviously a bit tough, but yeah, found a way out.
You talk about the environment, and it's so difficult to not be caught up within that environment. They always say you become product of your community, but you found it different. You saw a different way, and something that stands out is your relationship with your brother, and also a sportsman. He loves his sport, and you attached yourself to him at a very young age. Was that a way of avoiding the norm where substance abuse is there? Gang, everything that doesn't fit into where you saw yourself. Did that sport, and was your brother part of it?
Yeah, I think for any younger brother, that's the ideal role model to have. Someone, that's in the house, that's you look up to, steering away from all that, So obviously seeing him and what he was doing, obviously circumstances were tough, and friends, going into certain things, and him just, being focused on athletics and, not taking part in any of those things, going to training, making himself like not available to all those things, going away to training, making sure you're not in that environment, obviously as a young guy, when you see that, that gives you a little bit of more insight into how to steer away from it as well. So I think that helped me a lot, where obviously I wouldn't get involved with all those things. And obviously my mother as well, before a certain time we had to come in the house, because obviously when it's dark you start doing naughty things. So yeah, obviously it was obviously a bit of a deal relationship with my brother and my mother, having a good hand on me to make sure I don't steer in that wrong direction.
The golden rule, I think, for everyone is like when it's dark outside, you
you
have to be in.
Street lights come on. When the street lights come on, you're heading inside.
Yeah, so you used to follow him to training. You used to walk quite some distance.
Yeah. So yeah, it's called like the Dal Yosefat Stadium. So it's a famous track in Paarl where obviously all the athletics is. So it's quite a distance from where we stay. So people that know Paarl, you will know it's quite a distance. And then you go to the rougher area. So there where it's not as, say, nice as where we would live. So yeah, you obviously had to make friends with the guys that were, seeing you every day, try not to get, your kit stolen or stuff getting taken from you. So you learn to, recognize the guys and greet and make sure you would steer away from certain parts to make sure you got the training safe. And
obviously environment, you've moved on from it. You're in a completely different environment, but somehow there's still probably friends of yours that you see didn't make the right decisions, who are still caught up within this environment, who's still caught up with maybe doing the wrong things. And is that the case? Do you still have mates that you say didn't get out?
Yeah, it's obviously when I come back home, it's tough to see guys you grew up with, and Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing, you know. I never want to look down on anyone, you know. When I come home, I treat them as like we were old friends. You obviously have, I've walked my own path and they've walked theirs, you know. You know, doesn't matter which one was good or bad, you know. They made the decisions where, you know, that took them in their direction, and I took mine. So obviously it's tough to see them, you know, guys you were playing rugby with. You guys were like more talented than me, you know, playing rugby, and obviously they didn't get the same opportunities I had. So now obviously it's tough, but you know, just making them feel like human as possible, and you know, be like good old mates. It's good for me.
So you spoke about, you know, the opportunities, and one of your very first was going to Paul Boys Primary School.
Yeah,
Is that
primary
correct?
school. Yeah.
How did that happen?
No, obviously, like I said, now with my mother trying to, you know, get us out of that environment, and you know, her thing was to send us to a good school where the foundation would be laid well, and you know, what a school to do that, you know, where the saying is, you know, you bend a twig when it's small. So I think that stems from, you know, making sure the foundation is laid well, and you know, how you grow up is where you learn this stuff from young. So values, the certain things you do, like, you know, when you're getting to a room, introducing yourself, to, you know, making your own bed when I went to Landbo. So a lot of things like that, you know, that shaped me as a human being.
Yeah. So your journey, it was almost like a divorce. You know, a lot of your mates were there, but your
Yeah.
mom decided you go to Paul.
Well, yeah. So yeah, that's obviously a challenge in itself as well. Now it's a whole new environment as well. So now you're going to this school away from all your friends, you know, having to travel longer to go to school, having to wait longer after school to get back home. So yeah, you would miss out on a lot of things then.
So one would think you would, the primary school of Paul Boys, that you would almost go towards Paul Boys as your high school,
Yeah.
but not the case.
Yeah, that's traditionally the route everyone takes. But yeah, for me, obviously, my upbringing was very different from some of the guys. So, you know, being afforded the opportunity to go to Lando, where there was a hostel, you know, a week where you would have a bed to sleep in, you know, get meals at every meal, 3 meals a day, you know, have training facilities, have a, you know, good education, you know, being able to study when I need to. So I think, you know, having that really helped me a lot in getting out of my environment.
Were there guys, people that were assisting you, like guiding you? Because that's the biggest thing. Sometimes you always want to, you get an option, or you know, you get an opportunity to go to a school, but you need to decide.
Yeah.
Are there guys? Was there someone that was saying, "Listen, here's an opportunity"?
Yeah. So for me, that was my 13th coach, Chris Zondag. So he was obviously somebody I had a good relationship with. You know, obviously saw the struggles I had with not having transport to come to training or go home from training. So he would take me home sometimes, drop me off at home after training, because, you know, at 13 we would always train last. We had one field at the school, so we would always train last. So like at dark we would finish, and then he'll take me home. So obviously I had a good relationship with him, and then he had a contact at Landbo, which afforded me the opportunity to go there.
So you move on, you go to Landbo, and I think we talk about the untold story, and it's maybe something that a lot of people don't know, because your career, I want to say, skyrocketed to Springbok level, but you didn't play under 13 Craven Week, and you didn't play Craven Week in Matric.
No.
So you were also part of the COVID years, I presume.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I played at Cleveland Boys. I played Academy Week, and obviously at that time you think, okay, I can play rugby. So I'm gonna go to Landbo and be the guy. And yeah, I came to a realization that I'm not the guy. I played under 14B, played under 15B, and obviously I can come from a lot of things, you know, in a new environment where went to Cleveland Boys, which was different, but adapted, and now again going to a whole new environment, being away from home, you know, having to learn all these new things, and yeah, obviously having a bit of homesick. So it was very different, you know, having no friends, you know, have to make new friends. So yeah, I think it was tough for me. And now obviously, do you think rugby is your thing, and then you play B team and now you're not the guy? So it was really tough, but you know, that's when I realized, you know, if I want something, I'm to work hard for it. And yeah, obviously made the realization that rugby is maybe the thing I want to go to. You know, started working hard, you know, going with my brother to sessions and going following him and just, working. I wouldn't know like what would come from it, but I was just like working to make sure that like the goal was to play A team, and then eventually got to A team. Then my grade 11 year made the first team, so I played there, and then I went to the academy week, and then I obviously thought, okay, I can do this thing, So then I had a pretty pivotal moment in my career where I decided, man, I can see myself doing this. Obviously going to take a lot of hard work, but I was willing to sacrifice that and make the things needed to me to be a professional. And in my matric year, you think this is your year. You're going to play Korean week, SA school, set your goals for all that. And then 2 games in, we had COVID. Rugby for the rest of the year was cancelled. So now going into lockdown, I'm thinking, oh, no, it's over. It's over. This is like where you wanted to go away from, you back at it again, which was a tough period. But like I said, I was in that time, I always thought, I'm going to stay ready for when the opportunity comes. When we get to play rugby again in this year, I'll make sure I'm ready and grab the opportunity. And it never came, but quite a few phone calls along the way in that time, from a few varsities and whatnot. And then I think the last call was from the Bulls. They saw something in me, and I was fortunate enough to join them after school. And
So you went through your first almost setback at a very young age, and that is not making a Craven Week team. A year later, you find yourself in a junior box squad. It's sensational to know that it's not always been perfect. It's been a journey, and that year in the COVID, you only played 2 games.
Yeah, 2 games. So we played like one at our school festival, and then a Newlands Rugby Day, and then that was rugby for the year. You think matric year, you would know that's the year you want to play your best rugby. You want to know people like, I've arrived, I'm here, and want to play for a contract, and then that gets all taken away from you.
I think it moves in perfectly with the rugby environment, how it is now, being that you might only get one opportunity. You might only get one game. And, anything happens, you could have been, sick for the week and not been there. And it's just how being at the right place at the right time, but also being prepared
for that moment.
And after that, that's the dream. You go to the Bulls and never look back.
History. I went to the Bulls. Came there as a like I said, I didn't play Korean Week. I was never in those green squads, the SA Academy squads. From where guys get drafted from in a 16. I was never a part of that. Now I come here to the Bulls. There's 60, 70 guys that all play Craven Week. They all went to SA schools. These are the top dogs. And I come from a small school, Landbo, trying to compete with these guys. And I think there's obviously also when my mind shifted, and like this is the only opportunity I have. And like when my number gets called, I'm going to make sure I'm be ready for it.
Was that the pivotal moment when you got that call from the Bulls, knowing confidence in yourself that, this is actually something I can do? Everyone's telling me I'm good. Everyone's, yes, I'm playing for my first team. But was that a little bit of affirmation saying, listen, maybe there are people backing you more than you think?
No, 100%. I think I was content with, going to a varsity, studying and then maybe playing a bit of rugby just for the fun of it. But then when I got that call, made a light went off and meant I have a real opportunity here to, make a living for myself with this. And I think that's where I flipped the switch and, I was just full on working to make sure when I get the opportunity, I'll be ready. And
now, off the cuff, because this is definitely going to come up. You moved up north.
Yeah.
You're from the Western Cape. I understand both jerseys are blue, but within the household, was it a little bit saying, why wouldn't you just stay here? This is home. You're moving to the north-south derby, and you're moving away from it. Was it? I can imagine they're so excited for the opportunity, but you always get the one uncle saying, "Listen, you should be playing this side."
No, funny enough, my father and my mother were Bull supporters. So they were all for it. And then my one uncle was also my biggest fan who passed away recently. He was also the biggest fan. So he was very happy that I went to the Bulls. And like I think I mentioned now about opportunity, I mean, that's the only opportunity I got. So funny enough, I had to be at the Bulls where I come from, the Western Province.
So you move on and you had a stint with the under-20s. It wasn't a World Cup that year, it was just a championship because of COVID. And then you get a call up for Springbok camp. How did that come about? How did they let you know?
Okay, so the initial call, you want the initial call?
Yes,
so,
how did it happen?
So initial call was we were in still pre-season, so I was pre-season at the Bulls. So I think our USC season ended, we played in the final and lost against the Stormers, and then after 3 weeks we began training again. And obviously, I mean, I'm obviously watching the Springbok games and all that. So I'm thinking, I saw Kurtley obviously get hurt, and he was a teammate of mine at the Bulls. So obviously felt for him. And then, one day at that training, we were in the gym still. So I was gymming. And then, Coach Jake and our CEO, Edgar Rathbone, comes into the gym. And obviously I'll see them, and they have stern looks on their faces. I'm thinking, like, what did I do something? Did I say something or someone? So then they obviously walked to me and they called me to the office, like our SNC office. So they went in, said, no, I must come along. And then, they just broke the news to me and said, no, you got called up to the Springboks. They want you in Joburg now. And then, as you can think, for any rugby player, never mind a 19-year-old, getting that news was something really special, just, stood there and cried, and I obviously didn't think that this was real. Thought like, no, they can't be real. And I obviously asked them that, are you being real now? Like, is this really happening? And then, came out with tears, and obviously everyone in the gym was like, asking, what's going on? I said, no, I got called up to the Springboks, and everyone's just jumping of joy. And as soon as I got out that gym, I stayed still at the Bros. So the Bros is like the under 20, the juniors, where all the juniors stay, so like a house. So I was just like across the field. So I ran across, started packing my bags, and the daunting task of now facing the Springboks.
Who's the first person you phoned? I remember when Paul True phoned me, I was in the room with my dad.
Yeah.
And my dad's not the type that jumps. But I thought the roof was going to come off. He was almost more excited. It actually made me nervous. But who's the first person you spoke to?
My mother. I phoned my mother. And then, as you can think, like any parent, never mind, like I said now, being 19 years old, your lifelong dream is now becoming a reality. Calling my mother and telling her. And she was still with her sisters, so they all were jumping of joy. She was like always asking me to tell it over and over, that she she wants to hear it over and over again, so that kids know it's true. And phoned her, and then I phoned some of the family members, and then I was like, no, I gotta go. I need to go pack. They want me in Joburg now.
So it was immediate. It wasn't even like, listen, take the week, think about it.
No, it was straight. Go pack your bags, and then I had to drive to Joburg. And
if there was ever a perfect start to a Test career, I'd like to think you running on and scoring your first try is definitely up there in one of them. I want to take you back, and I want to go through that video, and I want to see if you can give us some of that emotion, some of that feeling, putting that ball down. I know it's probably a blur, but I think it's something that is going to be so special to you that will last. If there's anything you remember in your old day, this will be one of it.
I'm getting goosebumps here saying that. So, no, I remember, I actually watched a video the other day of it, again, like a different angle from someone out of the crowd. And it's like one moment I'll probably never forget in my life. When I obviously got into the team, the main thing was we were kicking high balls and wingers were the ones to chase them. So obviously after a few, I couldn't get into it because they were escorting me well. So they were bumping me off the ball. And so they kicked on me. I carried it into the 20, and then they played another pod, and then I stood up, and then they said, no, the call for the kick is coming. So got out of the blocks hard, and then I just saw a gap on the inside. So the two forwards were not resting, but not running as quick as the outside backs. So I saw a gap over there, and obviously initially, in my mind, I thought it's way too far, I'm not going to make it. And then just a miraculous leap, and Karabetti stayed down. Before I knew it, I had the ball in my hands, landing, and I had an open try line in front of me. I just wanted to get the ball down. I was just sprinting, and then at the corner of my eye, just saw the bench was busy warming up at the back of the goal line. So yeah, just dove, and then the whole bench came running and swarming me. And then I think the most special part of the whole try was, the whole team running towards me, like from wherever they were, the whole team just coming, congratulating me, and sharing that moment with me.
Let's take a look.
What's the difference? Why? Hooking this one over the
So
top.
they're getting it, first touch, carrying it in.
Nicky Tao does not miss.
So they see that the ends are going inside.
South Africa seemingly having all the play, and they might have an extension of the lead. They will. Oh, what a start from the debutant Canan Moodie. Wow.
See, there's everyone.
Shawnee, wow, what an effort from this young man, the new man on the wing.
Yeah, this is almost the second one. Oh, no.
I think as a youngster, almost unrecognizable, but it's just the other day. No beard that time, no beard that time.
Still too young for that.
But, just being embraced by that rugby fraternity, which is like, that group was something special. You look at Frans Steyn, Kwacha, I don't know if you should get nervous when that punch runs at you, but, just that feeling of, you part of this, that is something that is so special and special to South Africa, but also representing, your family. And I'm sure that they're watching. That feeling, can you describe it?
No, I don't think anything I'll say will ever come to that, what I was feeling or what they were feeling back home. But I mean, like you touched now with Frans Steyn, being in camp with him, him being the youngest and now I'm being the second youngest, obviously getting a lot of reassurance from him. He obviously came and told me, if you weren't good enough, you wouldn't be here. And that for a young guy, that's enough to go out there and just give it your all. And then just the backing from that group, coming in as a young guy, new to all this, new to test rugby, and them just like embracing you and giving you the full confidence to go out there and do the job. And by that video, you see they were backing me all the way, coming from wherever they were, just embracing me and celebrating with me. So very special. And then, don't know if you saw the video on internet where I posted my family when the initial try happened, them just seeing that, the joy they were having from that try. And my brother mentioned after that try, they didn't even watch the game. They were so that was it. Yeah, we don't want to watch it anymore. We've seen it now. And obviously then phoning them after, initially when I got into the locker room, just grabbed my phone, and then obviously it was going crazy. But video calling them, all of them together, they're watching it together, and then just having the joy of making them proud.
Besides the fame, the money, the environment, does that sum up why you do what you do?
So my why is basically my family, all the hard times we had to go through, the circumstances I grew up, the circumstances I came out of, all those things, the sacrifices that have been made, basically my whole journey I've been talking about this whole podcast is my whole journey I've gone through to give me to the place I am now. And I think that motivates me enough, that I think it's not anything is enough, but I think there's more I want, there's more to achieve. So I think for me, that's my biggest phrase. I write it on my boots, it's on my mouth guard. So it's a constant reminder for me to, keep being hungry, keep chasing the next thing, keep on working hard, not getting too comfortable with the life I have now. There's so much more I can still achieve. So not being too content with, what you have achieved. There's still lots more to go.
We mentioned, setbacks a little bit earlier. Maybe not making a Craven Week team, but within the team environment, you mentioned that the Bulls played in the final, but that beginning of that season, figuring out the URC, the first few games, you're bottom of the log. As a team, confidence surely down. As players, confidence down. That besides the injury, as a group, that's a setback. How did you change it around? How do you turn it around as the individual? And then how does a team change that?
Yeah, it's obviously tough. You never want to lose, especially, when you, like a franchise like the Bulls, traditionally known as a powerhouse union. So I think for us, there was a lot of, pressure on us, but also for me as a young guy coming in as my first senior season, the adversity we had to go through as a group, but not just as a group, but me as a player, learning all these new things of how you get out of this. And so, it was very tough for us, but you know, we had a good coach and Coach Jake who has seen it all. You know, he told us, you know, sometimes in life you have to take the low road to get up top, and that's the path we are on. So now we got to fight and make sure we fight our way out of this. And I think for us as a group, we had to go that way. I think we ended up 7th or 8th on the playoffs, and then we had to travel. Oh no, we got a home quarter final against the Sharks. You know, I had to travel to Leinster and do the impossible, play Leinster in Dublin, and then miraculously we did that and beat them and went to the final. I had to go play the Stormers and unfortunately fell short. But you know, that adversity of a season, you know, for young guys, seeing all that and learning from that, you know, helped me in my career and has given me a lot of, you know, adversity into growing as a rugby player for future purposes.
And as a team, when you're going through that, does it bring the guys a little bit closer? You're starting to rely more on each other. The coffee dates become more, the phone calls, the WhatsApp groups that we all know that the coach is not on.
Yeah.
Is that become, you know, highlighted, that the guys pull together, the guys say, listen, you guys, let's go do something outside of rugby. We got to pull in and get closer as a group. Did you feel that helped you guys form like a tighter bond?
Yeah, I think you would know, like, team culture is the most important thing at a team that keeps the team ticking. You know, if you're not, like I said, now aligned in one goal, you as a team, you're never gonna, you know, achieve something. So I think, yeah, we had to have some hard conversations on what's going wrong and what's, you know, bugging us in the team. So I think once we got to that, we had a few cries, had a few deep sessions where we were throwing firewood into the fire, you know, having some confessions, you know, getting to know each other deeper, you know, having, like I said now, telling the untold story. You know, some guys you didn't even know, or some guys you didn't even speak to as much, but now you get to delve a bit deeper into who they are. So that obviously makes you respect them even more and makes you tighter as a group. So I think that obviously helped us turn around our season.
You mentioned, you know, your why, but you go through phases, I speak on behalf of myself, where, you know, you're trying to find what's keeping me hungry for now. You're on top of the world. Just won a Rugby World Cup. Coming back, you know, life is good. What makes sure that you get back day one on your way to training and you're sitting in your car and you say, listen, I've got to go work today? What makes you humble and hungry?
Yeah, I think I've gone to that journey now recently. So it's been tough. I'm not gonna lie. Like all the, you know, getting thrown into the spotlight, you know, getting all these nice things, you know. It's been tough, you know, for where I had all this time, you know, to invest in myself with my recovery, with my, you know, extra sessions I was doing. Now I had to go do appearances. Now I had to go do talk shows. Now I had to go do these things. So now my life is a bit more spread out. So it was tough for me to, you know, adapt to that. But I think once I got down to know who I am and, you know, why my why is important to me. So I think I feel like I haven't achieved anything yet. You know, I've obviously done and been a part of a lot of things, but I feel like there's so much more for me. So I think just being able to, you know, realign, get yourself refocused and, you know, scratch off or turn a new leaf, as they would say, and say, okay, this is what we're doing now. There's a new goal that's behind you. That's great and everything, but now we need to look forward to the next job.
So with that, what has been the biggest lesson that rugby has taught you? And if you talk about your journey, you know, is this one of them, like going through injury or going through, you know, the big move, or, you know, when it's not going well? What has been significant moments, or what has been significant in your journey that has really given you a life lesson?
I think, you know, all that adversity I had to go through from a young age, you know, from where I grew up to moving to Paul Boys, moving to Berlin, but coming to Pretoria by myself, you know, having COVID, you know, playing junior box, and then in the second game breaking my jaw, not being able to play for the rest of the campaign, you know, coming back, playing for the junior team, and then the following year getting called up to the senior team, making my Currie Cup debut, and then making my URC debut a week later, and then becoming a Springbok. You know, so it was a tough journey, but I think the one thing this whole journey has taught me is, you know, sacrifices, discipline, and hard work. You know, that three things, you can't do anything without it. If you you dedicate yourself to your craft and, you know, be disciplined in what you do. You can do anything in life, you know, and that's just for me as rugby, and hopefully I can put that in other things I do as well.
If Canan didn't have rugby tomorrow, what would you find yourself doing? And it's hard to take yourself out of it, because currently that is 24/7. You sleep rugby because it's important. It's one of the aspects you need. Let me ask you this: how would you see yourself if you didn't become a professional rugby player? What would you aspire to do outside of rugby? Would it be still in the sport world, or would it be rugby in a different sense? But where could you see yourself?
This is probably one of the toughest questions. I get it a lot because, you know, I'm still young, so I'm at that stage where you're basically choosing what you're going to do with your life. But I think for me, being where I am now, like so dedicated into and, you know, giving everything to my craft is like, I don't think I can see myself doing anything else but play rugby for now. But I think hopefully as I get older and more mature and, you know, see things different, get a bit more stable in my life, I think I will, you know, start, you know, going in that direction of doing something off the field. But I think it's from school, I would say I would have wanted to be a lawyer. So yeah, the basic answer is, yeah, I would have wanted to be a lawyer, or, you know, one thing I was really passionate about being was a quantity surveyor. So yeah, and then yeah, obviously rugby came, and that's been my life now.
There are so many people from different walks of life, professionals, you know, watching the smulcast, that maybe not necessarily only in sport. There are businessmen, there are guys in different sport. Life lessons, you've mentioned discipline, you've mentioned sacrifice. Would you consider that as a constant in any balance of life? Is that, what would you find as you know, should be a constant, whether you're a sportsman, whether you're a working professional? What is the one thing that you think that, or you feel that is working for you that could be carried over amongst different forms?
No, I think, like I mentioned, all three of those, you know, you have to sacrifice. If you have a due date in the week, you have to sacrifice your time. You have to stay maybe later at the office, you know, maybe you have to skip this party or maybe skip this dinner, and just being disciplined in getting your work done, and then obviously working hard. If you want to, you know, say move up the chain or the ladder, you have to work hard and make sure you be the best version of yourself.
In terms of aspirations, and I know it's a difficult one because rugby players, you know, you're only allowed to focus on the weekend. Career-wise, is there something that, you know, you've been to a World Cup, surely, yes, would probably love to play another one, but something like the British-Irish Lions, is that something that you would love to one day be part of?
Yeah, I think for any rugby player, you know, the British-Irish Lions tour is something you always want to be part of, you know. I think I'll be 30 when that one comes around, so hopefully look after my body and hopefully I'm in a position to be a part of that. But, you know, British-Irish Lions, the Barbarians, the, you know, World 15, the, you know, a lot of, you know, different things in rugby. You know, domestically you want to maybe go to other teams where you would want to win other tournaments or trophies. And I think there's still a lot out there for me, and hopefully I can continue, you know, on the path I am, working hard and making sure I'm the best player I can be. And yeah, we'll see what the future holds.
Canan, it's been unbelievable. Thank you so much for opening up, giving us the untold story. And I know, and I'm wishing you all the best for your career. You're only 21, so it's starting, your joints are still great. So look after them, which I'm sure you do. But all the best, and thank you so much for joining us here on the Smulcast. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for tuning in to Smulcast this week. If you want to catch any more of these episodes, go to smul.com.